Hi, this is Lisa with Coping with Yarn, and today I will be reading Chapter 11 of E.T. the Extra-terrestrial.
Ouch.
Hannah just wanted to do that. She wanted to make sure that you saw him say ouch. Okay, ready? Everyone on his staff called him Keys. He had a name, but his keys were his real signature. Keys to an ordinary-looking warehouse with a lot of extraordinary rooms inside, to which he also held the keys. He stood in one of these rooms now, in front of an operations map on which concentric circles were drawn, ever narrowing to a single point. He addressed his assistant quietly, his eyes remaining on the map. I heard some religious fanatics on the radio the other day talking about our sighting. They claim the ship is a satanic manifestation. The assistant drank black coffee and continued working on the roster slip before him. It was a list of names, most of which had scientific credentials after them. Doctors, biologists, laboratory specialists of every kind. Don't you, that once we bring these people into the act, your chances of looking like an idiot grow at an astonishing rate? It's time to bring them in, said Keys, eyes still on the map and on the point that was Elliot's house. His assistant looked up from the roster. But suppose the children are just imagining it all. Suppose what we picked up on the snooper is just a kid's game. The ship landed here. Keys pointed at one of the outer circles. His finger came back along the inner circle. We picked up conversation about a stranded crew member here. He put his finger on the dot that was Elliot's house. It's too close to be a coincidence. Keys reached behind him and pressed the button of a tape recorder, and Elliot's voice sounded on the tape.
What?
Let's see. Let's get her little...
You have killed E.T.
There. Oh, here we go. Now it's okay. Now it will be okay.
I eat strong like China.
It's too close to be a coincidence. Keys reached behind him and pressed the button of a tape recorder, and Elliot's voice sounded on the tape. From far away in space, Michael, from a place we can't begin to understand. We've got to help him. Keys pressed the stop button, and the operation room was quiet again. He had felt the awesomeness of the ship night as it landed, had seen its incredible approach on the tracking screen, an amazing power package from the stars sinking over the horizon. The ship's performance conformed to the pattern his agency was familiar with other sightings. Only this time, the ship had been taken by surprise. His assistant rose from the desk and joined him at the map. All right, he said, tapping the roster clip with his finger. This is everyone you want. It reads like a Nobel Prize banquet. Will you listen to me for just 1 second before we involve the scientific community? The assistant turned to the map. If a crew member was left behind, it doesn't seem likely he'd be hiding in somebody's house. Why not? Because he's an alien being and he'll be handling himself guerrilla style out in the hills. The assistant pointed to the terrain he thought likely to be sheltering whatever it was they'd been chasing. You think they have no training in survival? You think the intelligence behind that ship never planned on such a contingency? We caught them with their pants down, said Keys quietly. Maybe we did. But if you were an alien being, would you go knocking on doors to the nearby neighborhood? He's in that house, said Keys. Let's find out for sure before we ring in this crowd. The assistant tapped the roster again. It's going to be 3-ring circus once these people arrive. There will be no way to plug leaks. And if you've guessed wrong, if that house has nothing in it but a couple of goofy kids with a Space Invaders mentality, You're going to be out of a job because you will have spent about 10 million bucks on a wild goose chase. The government is cutting the budget. Remember, we operate on the fringes. Keyes pointed at the roster. Round them up! The assistant sighed. If you're wrong, we can both look forward to careers gathering evidence for divorce courts. The motel unit of some sleazy private eye outfit. He started to turn away and then turned back, pointing at the outermost circles of the map. The forests and hills. Your man, if he's anywhere, is up in these hills, eking out a marginal existence. Robinson Crusoe, I suppose. That's right. Certainly not sitting in somebody's kitchen having a milkshake. Or M&Ms. E.T. sat in the kitchen, sipping his milkshake through a straw. The straw, he felt, was one of the finest inventions on Earth, making drinking so much easier. You like that, E.T.? Asked Elliot across from him at the table. The alien being nodded at the delicious liquid gurgled in his glass. The roster was called up. A scattered group of specialists who had previously been investigated, given security clearance, and then asked to sign themselves onto a more peculiar standby group. This they did, some with amusement, some with scorn, and all of them idly, never dreaming their expertise would someday actually be required. So it was with great surprise that each of them listened to a voice somewhere on the other end of the telephone line. And it was with a profound quiet that they finally laid the phone back onto its cradle, staring at it and wondering who was crazy, they or the government.